certain levels of expectations that you have of individuals need to be reconsidered, because once you understand where they actually play in the bigger scheme of things, that may give you a sense of how their behavior constructs to your expectations. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another session of Visualize with Vik. Just as a reminder, please subscribe and click on the notification button to be reminded of when it is that when we upload the videos. I thought I'd talk about my usual construct around human behavior and the way I'm interpreting it, and how I'm putting certain expectations or certain behaviors into certain categories so that I can understand individuals for who they are. And I thought I'd give an example of one of these other categories. Now, most of you who've been following me have heard me talk about sort of the difference between, people who want something for you and wish something for you. We've talked about this construct of commitment and involvement and various other discussions that we've had. And one of these, I think I may have had before, but I want to talk about it again. And that is a discussion which will help, I think, help us understand how human behavior cannot all be put into one category for everybody, and that certain levels of expectations that you have of individuals need to be reconsidered, because once you understand where they actually play in the bigger scheme of things, that may give you a sense of how their behavior constructs to your expectations. And the analogy I'm going to use is sport. Go figure. It occurred to me that sport is a great place to go to on occasions, just to understand certain constructs. And the one I want to talk to you about really is on this idea that you have, and I may, as I said, I've spoken about this before, but I do really want to speak about it again. The idea that you have what I would consider to be supporters, right? Fans and players. And even within players, there is a category of different types of players, which we'll talk to about just now. So let me start with this construct of fans. And actually, before I start with fans, let me just start with the construct of supporters. I think that's a better place to go to. Supporters are what I consider to be individuals who are there in your life, who really wave you along, who give you a sense of encouragement, who give you a sense of what I would also call involvement, right? They may not necessarily be committed, but they are involved, and they're there to wave you along. And on occasion, they will pop in to give a little bit of an understanding of where you're going in life. Supporters are important in this, in the area of sport, because they may not be fans, and the difference between the two is that supporters are people who really support a team but may not necessarily follow it regularly, and not people who go and watch it live, may not even watch it on TV, may have a little bit of paraphernalia around that sport, but they're just really people who say, for the goodness length of time, I've been supporting so-and-so, and that's about as far as their level of commitment goes. And that also applies to supporters of you in life. And you may have a whole lot of them. There may be a whole category of people within your Rolodex or within your directory on your phone who are people you could define as supporters, but may not necessarily be the people who are waving your flag every day, right? They may not be that committed. The next group of people are what I call your fans, right? And your fans are your fanaticals. They're the ones who will attend matches, who will watch every game, who get emotionally embroiled in the game. They're the ones who are overjoyed when you succeed. They're the ones who cry when you don't succeed. They are the ones who will travel distances to go and watch a game that they want to. They're sometimes your season ticket holders. They are the ones who have the tablecloths of the team that they're supporting, have painted a wall, or have a wall full of pictures of those very players that they're supporting or those very teams that they're supporting. They're what I call the committed group, not necessarily just the involved group, but they're committed. They want to know when the teams are playing, how they're playing, who's playing, and how they're lining up. And if you equate this to your life on a personal capacity, you may have a very few number of these individuals. These individuals are people who really are embroiled in your life in more ways than one. Not necessarily always in a negative sense, but sometimes it can be because of the extent in which they're embroiled. But they are really people who, when you are celebrating something or excited about something, they may pitch up with the supporters, but in terms of their expression of their happiness and joy, you do find that there are the distinctions. These are the people who are wanting for you, right? And they're wanting not so much for you as opposed to wishing for you, that their commitment levels are extremely high. They will do almost anything to ensure that there is your success. As a fan does, they will do anything to ensure that there is the success of their team. And they will truly celebrate in the good times, and they will truly be in the dumps, in the bad times. So that's the difference between a supporter and a fan. And I want you to consider that in the relationships that you have, that don't expect from a supporter what you would experience from a fan. And it's important to do that because you don't want to overburden expectations on individuals who may not be able to offer as much as they are offering as much as they can, but may not be able to offer as much as a fan. The last category is what I call the player, right? Now, your fan is great, but your player is on the pitch. Your player is the person who is playing every single moment with you. They are training. They are part of the strategy. They are part of the implementations. They're the ones that actually are involved in the winning or in the losing. They are so deeply ingrained in the team that they are the team. They make up the team. They make up the success or the failures of the team. And within that context, they're playing with you every day. Now, as great as the fan may be, they're not with you every day. They're not in the training fields with you every day. They're not in the strategy sessions with you every day. But your player is. And the distinction there is that within the constructs of your team, you need to understand that fans are great, but they're not the ones who are playing the game. It's the people in the team. So in your team, do you have a fan who looks like they're participating and involved? Or do you have a player that gets up at 6 o'clock every morning and is at the training field and is part of the rest of the team in order to make the success? And that's a massive distinction that I had to make between the fan and the player. I had made the distinction between the supporter and the fan, but I hadn't quite made the distinction between the fan and actually the player. And within the players, within the team, there are those that are part of that team for life. I have known as a great Man United supporter, players who only played for one team, committed to that team, went up and down with that team with its successes and failures. And then also within the team, you have players who may be what I call the glory hunter player. So the player who comes might only be there for a year or 2 years and then moves on. And there's nothing wrong with that. Your train station is going to hit a station. You're going to have people who come on and you're going to have people who are going to leave, even within the constructs of the team itself. And what you want to build up is that level of loyalty, that level of commitment, and that level of sustainability within the team where you don't have a revolving door. So within the team, there's a lot of work to be done, even though they may seem to be extremely more committed than those who are fans. But there are those situations where within the team, you need to create a level of sustainability that enables people to be present, to be committed, to be attentive, and also to stay, to be part of the team for as long as possible so that that team becomes stronger over time. So those are my constructs and those are my senses, or the three different senses that really just give you an understanding of human behavior and, in my sense, how human beings and the expectations you can have from them, from the supporter to the fan to the player, and even within the player, the different types of players who will be there and those who will move on. Good luck And I hope this has helped give you some kind of three-dimensional view of relationships. Thanks very much.